Welcome to another broadcast of The Competitive Edge. Today, we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting topic, and that is the face of self mastery. And self mastery is relevant to you in business and it's relevant to you in life. So, we're going to do that broad overview of essential concepts that you need to know in terms of self mastery. Now, this program comes to you with the kind compliments of the Bestseller Portal. Uh, to learn more about the Bestseller Portal, I encourage you to go to bestsellerportal.org and navigate that website. Now, today with me to supporting the conversation, I have Clement Frank, who is an economist. I have Shivani Sunarang, and she is a project management practitioner. And I have Peter Scott, and he's the brain behind Legacy Chronicle, Human Growth and Program. Now, this is my team that we will be doing that deep dive in today. But just before we get into today's program, uh, do I want to encourage you to call a friend, tell a friend that the competitive edge is on air. And if they're in business or just the average person who wants to achieve more in life, do encourage them to join this platform. I'll now take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we'll do that deep dive into today's topic.
High Net Worth Investor's Guide, where art meets science. Explore tools, processes, and systems that empower you to accelerate your journey to a seven-figure business. Access smart funding solutions for six and seven-figure enterprises. Harness capital for multiple income streams. Master the art and science of debt mitigation to build wealth faster. Experience comprehensive business support to propel your success at a budget that suits you. The High Net Worth Investor's Guide is tools, processes, and systems that influences success.
Business with 10X Branding and Marketing LLC. Our expert team specializes in enhancing your brand's visibility and connecting you with your ideal clients. We employ strategies that increase reach, leaving a lasting impact and driving client conversion. Trust and credibility are vital in businesses and excel in building them even with a limited budget. Our cost-effective approaches ensure you get the best results without overspending. Ready to boost your business cash flow? Contact us at 332-235 T99 and let 10X Branding and Marketing LLC guide you to success. Our focus is on elevating your visibility, which directly translates to growth. Experience the power of effective branding and marketing with us and witness your business thrive.
Are you a rising star in business academia, public speaking, sports, law, medicine, or an influencer? Becoming a best-selling author can open doors to connect with top figures in various fields. Discover how the Bestseller Portal team can assist you. 1. Assisting clients in the creation, refinement, design, and publication of their books, biographies, and autobiographies. 2. Strategizing and executing promotional campaigns while navigating global markets and linguistic diversity to enhance the visibility of your literary works. 3. Nurturing our clients' transformation into esteemed public speakers and influential thought leaders. 4. Elevating your books into dynamic digital learning content. 5. Cultivating multiple streams of income from your literary works and beyond. Enroll today for the prestigious Bestseller Portal Annual Summit and position yourself as an eminent authority and trailblazer within your chosen sphere.
All right, team, welcome back to the Competitive Edge. Today, we're going to be talking about the face of self mastery, and I want to throw this question out. In your respective fields, I mean, Frank, you're an economist, Shivani, you are a project management practitioner, and Peter, you are a specialist in master planning. How important is self mastery in the equation of your respective fields? Can I start with Frank?
Thank you very much. The first thing is I'd like to say what self mastery really is, and that's the control of one's nature. You need to understand who you are, how you react and think, and how this affects how you show up as a leader. Do you need to exercise more self discipline? Do you need to respond more productively in the faces of challenge? And personal mastery can help you deal with stress more productively and master emotions so that you make better decisions and solve problems effectively. From a leadership perspective, self mastery will help you to make the best possible contributions to the success of your project, of your business. You'll be able to leverage your personal experience, your personal knowledge, and unique skill sets. So, to develop powerful strategies that engage and inspire your team. So the essence of leadership is inspiration through examples, which requires a high degree of personal mastery. And before you can inspire the most desirable possible qualities among your team, among your colleagues, friends, you must first display them yourself. And we find here that in self mastery, once you have mastered yourself, then it's not easy for you to self sabotage. It's not going to be easy for you to just be unproductive. It's not going to be easy to just have an attitude because of a situation. You can rise above your situation if you have self mastery.
All right, thanks for that share. I know we have looked at this topic early on, and we looked at it from the perspective of the self-image theory that talks about the ideal self, looking glass self, self-image, and the real self. And my brief contribution to this topic is that I do believe self-mastery also lies in the belly of truly understanding your essence, understanding your real self. And I do believe in today's world, there is not much conversation around knowing, living, and mastering the real self. But all the points that you would have made, Frank, I do believe ties into all of that. And I do see that an understanding of the real self and being able to master who you are is going to be relevant to you and the organization and how the organization grows and expands, and it's going to be relevant to you and your life and how you relate to people in life and lay that impression on. Pause here for now, and I'm going to come straight over to Peter, and then I'm going to come to Shivani. Uh, Peter, what are your thoughts? I mean, what in your view is the face of self mastery, and how does master planning plays into this? How does it add or take away from that process?
Yeah, I just want to welcome our viewers, those who are visiting, viewing us for the very first time, and time shared with us wherever you are across the globe. Self mastery is the place where everything begins and ends in my book, because one of the questions that we often communicate with individuals when it comes to self mastery and the essence of as you mentioned, self. So the question is, who is the who that you are talking about? And a lot of most times individuals have not really questioned themselves to define themselves and to understand who they really are. Because we tend to, as an individual, we tend to look at the world from the perspective of where we stand to the outside world, and we place our attention on the world within our circumference, the circumference around us. But self mastery is very important, because if we do not master self, we do not take charge. And we've had the conversation about what is mastery, and mastery can be one of those words that can be quite, an issue to deal with. But in this context, we're talking about mastery as one taking charge of something, having a sense of discipline over something. And where master planning is concerned, when an individual can be able to define who is the who that we're talking about, who is the you that you're talking about, and breaking down that you into its smallest components. And then you're able to navigate those smaller components of who we are, and utilizing them for our best interests and for the service of our community. We think that individuals are on the right track.
Thanks for that share, Peter. And there's so much depth to what you're saying, because as you spoke about self-control and self-mastery, I reflect a little bit on a number of things that we hear sometimes in life. Good thing comes to those who wait, and things like that. And sometimes I find that people spend much time in the waiting zone, not necessarily realizing that when you bring yourself to that point to own and control who you are taking action, what I may call proactive action, to realize your dreams and your hopes and your aspirations. You're no longer waiting on the fairy tale godmother and father and uncle and aunt, because you recognize within you have the ability. And self-mastery is where you are looking at your life and you're asking yourself, am I comfortable with where I'm at? And where do I want to go? And what practical strategies, tools, processes, and systems I can adopt to get there? What relationships I can form to help me to achieve the richness of my potential. So it's a very broad subject matter, and as time progresses, we will refine it. But I want to come over to Shivani, and Shivani is an expert project management practitioner, and I do, without a doubt, know the importance of project management to everything that I do. But Shivani, from your perspective, what does self-mastery means to you in the context of project management?
Gary, remember a while back we spoke, and my 2 cents on self mastery is about self practice. You know, I believe continuously you have to practice this. You started the conversation, and Frank and Peter, you all spoke about, mastering yourself. It all involves practicing. It's a practice, it comes like a ritual. So, someone and I were in this conversation recently, right? And how can project management really help us? Now, many times when you look at projects in isolation. You're given a project to run and you start to plan, execute, monitor, and control and close off. Of course, that is a traditional way of running projects. Can project management assist people in this whole concept of self practice and really improving themselves? How many persons, and you said it at the start of the conversation before we went live, many persons want to, get involved in business. How you may work before, it may be different for how you have to work now. Now, you had that trait and you could easily pivot into business because that was your trait. That's who you are. But many persons need to develop this trait. And, you may say, do you really have that trait? Is it that some people may be good at it and some people may be bad at it? Now, as all of us here would say, well, personally, I would always say anyone could learn anything, right? Once you are taught it properly. So, as a teacher, I could never say that somebody cannot learn. Everybody can learn something. It's how you learn it and what information is presented to the person to teach them, right? And knowledge transfer and all those great topics. So, getting back to the point of project management, when you start to look at things in projects, your whole life is a series of projects, as we keep saying. You can then reinvent yourself, because this is what trying to look at self mastery and self practice. Is it that you are going according to the same linear way, as we said? Is it that you're an economics expert, I'm PM or facilities management or whatever trade that we are in, engineering, whatever we are in? And is it that is what you're going to develop in as a very linear approach? Now, if that is self-mastery to you, right? So we have to consider how you view it, right? Are you seeing things as more a self-mastery? Personally, I use project management to learn and to get involved into many different areas to really reinvent yourself, because project management gives you the tools that you could just understand a project and then you have your team, you have people, you have resources. So you may not be the subject matter expert in the particular project, but you are the subject matter expert really in project management, So definitely understanding PM frameworks and PM mindset and PM thinking can allow you now to, circle and go all around and reinvent yourself, that you don't have to stay in a very linear path, right? I call it disruption. How do you disrupt yourself? And a lot of times people want to pivot into business. And I mean, this is the whole conversation here, getting people into business and stuff and, getting the capital. How could you do that? How could you reinvent yourself for that type of thinking? Because you may not be like that. Self-mastery for you may be going through a very linear path in an organization. And remember, I can sit here with all of us and you could sit here with me and we can talk that the schooling system and curriculum really prepare people for that type of thinking, which is go to school, get your degree, get your master's, do your professional cert, and get a job, right? But that's a conversation for a different day, right? So self-mastery through project management, for me, I'll start by understanding what is self-mastery to me, what is self-practice to me, and can project management really now guide me to do that? Project management can guide us to do that through disruption. Reinvent yourself. One of my techniques when I want to get involved in many different areas, Gary, is that your mind, you have to write down all your thoughts. Sometimes I write down everything, on a napkin if I'm drinking coffee or something and I have a napkin, I may write it down. Sometimes I may not, but I force myself to do that, to write down all my thoughts in order to categorize them now and see how I could reinvent in different ways. So project management, I will always see, can help somebody to reinvent themselves and to get into different fields and look at self-practice, and how you could. So for me, if I stay in the same field, I can't stay in the same field. I've never stayed in the same field from coming out, doing my bachelor's to now. I've never stayed in the same field. People might think I'm
experience growth. You want to experience growth,
but not in the same field, because somebody could argue with me and say that I don't know anything because I want to move in different fields. And what traditional curriculum will teach you that you grow in one particular area and you become the subject matter in that area. So, food for thought, projects for thoughts. That's food, right?
Great. Okay, great. What I want to add to the conversation on that topic of self mastery, I do believe that any attempt to master who you are, in the context of what I'm going to look at it now, represent three things: self awareness, self confidence, and self application. And the reason I'm going to be saying this is because to master who you are, it is necessary for you to understand your potential to achieve greatness, because that awareness is going to help you in the organization, it's going to help you in life, it's going to help you in community. And why am I saying this again? In one of my books, I've stated that people can never grow beyond their true sense of self. And if your sense of self is holding you back because you're flowing in that negative sense of self, that's the end product that you're going to get. I can predetermine how far you're going to go because you have that negative sense of self. All right. So self mastery is, first of all, self awareness. And that's being aware of the rich potential that you have to achieve greatness. Regardless of where you came from, regardless of where you're at, you have the potential. And Shivani would have said, you can always rewrite, you can always redirect your path. All right. You can always redirect your path. You have control. So you're not defined by the past. And that's what self mastery helps you to become aware of, because the past doesn't define the richness of your potential. All right. If you're looking in that narrow perspective of your life cycle, we're going to get deeper into this as time progresses. So I think that's the first element. The second element is self confidence. Because, sometimes, you accomplish a lot in life, you have a fair degree of self awareness, but then confidence in self is another equation all by itself. All right. You are now called upon to lead the organization. You're now called upon to accomplish a global vision. But are you confident enough to go after it? And self-mastery encompasses these type of awareness, where you must exercise the highest level of self-confidence. And as Shivani would have said, it's not necessarily you knowing everything, but the way an organization is built, you have an organization chart, and you have the strategic, tactical, and operational team. And with good leadership is about you adopting the right skill sets to the organization to ensure that you're able to confidently navigate the pathway to achieve the end results. All right. You could be you may not know everything, but you're smart enough and wise enough to build out the organization in such a way to help you achieve the targeted results. And the last concept that I want to share here is what I call self-application. Because it doesn't make sense to be self-aware. It doesn't make sense to have self-confidence and not apply it. All right. You must be able to apply. And I do believe that sometimes when we speak of sometimes we use words that is abstract for the majority of people. So I'm going to try here to explain what application means. In our context, application means building relationships. It means creating visibility. You have a skill. You want to demonstrate the effectiveness of the use of your skill. You're applying yourself. You're creating visibility. You're reaching people. You're touching and you're transforming lives. And you want to get out of your comfort zone and apply. And this is something that I find that many persons, they have a challenge with this. They are gifted, they're talented, but it is known only to, in a narrow perspective, and we talked yesterday about narrow and broad influencers. I do believe as you build yourself up, where you have attain a certain degree of mastery, you now want to apply that. You now want to be known. You want to go through that light and that trust. And I think that this for me sums up the concept of self mastery. It's not to master who you are and it's all for you. It's to apply it to touch and transform the lives of people around you. Having said all of that, I want to now shift attention a little bit to something myself and Frank we were talking about earlier, and I think all of us we briefly talk about it. Now that you have invested your time, your talent, and your resources, you know perhaps you had a mentor, a coach, or a sponsor that helped you to understand the pathway to self mastery. Now that you have attained this, how can you use this skill set to help you in organization leadership, to help you in financial accomplishments, to help you in, you know, your personal life master plan? How are you using self mastery to create that ripple effect in the world? How do you see it? I want to start with Frank. I know that he looks into these matters a whole lot and the application of concepts. And can you equate self mastery to now how do you deploy it and perhaps some of the benefits in applying it in different situation? Could be organization, could be life, could be community. Over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Gregory. Why am I calling you Gregory? I just spoke to Gregory.
That's my brother's name, Gary. Okay.
As you say that, I'm remembering Theodore Roosevelt, who said that courage, hard work, self-mastery, and intelligent effort are all essential to successful life. And sometimes when we think of self-mastery, we picture in our minds someone like a martial arts master, calm, focused, and in control at all times. Or you may imagine people who have their lives planned and are in control of their own future. But some aspects that I would think of is how that one develop self-mastery. Because in itself, self-mastery is a very broad term, and for every faculty or discipline or areas of study, self-mastery plays an important role. So it's a broad term. It covers many aspects of personal and professional life. So how do we develop self-mastery? There are some areas that I have looked at previously, and I think that the first thing is that goals. You hear that a lot, goals. Because self-mastery in itself, it has to start with a vision of how you want your life to be. Stephanie raised an important aspect is that self-mastery is a daily practice. You have goals set up, but if you're not practicing it, then you can never reach a point of self-mastery. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Frank.
Good. And so I think that I'm looking at this goal. Think about people, who have incredible self-discipline. The chances are that they know exactly where they want to go in life, and this vision gives them the strength to get it. And that's why it's so important to start with a clear vision of your short-term and your long-term objectives. You need to set personal goals and get into the habit or the practice of moving toward these goals every day. And one of the things that I found is that the clearer you are about what you want to achieve in life, the easier it is to move forward. Not just calmly, but confidently. Another thing is your attitude, attitude and emotion. You see, attitude and emotions play a major role in self mastery because the people who show strong self mastery don't let their emotions control them. They control their emotions. So if you focus on something positive every day, be grateful for things, even if these are just things like the fact that you job enjoy or that the weather is beautiful or on your drive to work. Having gratitude and a positive outlook will set the tone for the rest of your day. Sometimes we tend to blame ourselves when things go wrong, which is self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is a quick and cruel way of stopping yourself from reaching your true potential. Now, if you find that you're undermining yourself, consciously make yourself stop. Just make yourself stop. For example, if you go into a dark place of depression or whatever, once you have self mastery, you can come up with that in just making yourself stop. Instead of something positive, you think of something positive instead of just going into that place, that dark place. Think of how this situation can be an experience that will benefit you and benefit others. You can also change negative thinking with what we call cognitive restructuring. Right? Write down the situation that's causing you negative thoughts. Write down the emotions you feel and list the automatic thoughts you have while experiencing the emotions. I say write because the thing about writing brings on a calming effect of any situation. I have found personally that if things are happening in my life and I begin to write down the experience, I'm pouring that what is called negative feeling onto the paper. By the time I'm finished writing, I feel better. Right? I've been getting several calls to start a meeting, so this is where I have to leave you guys.
All right. Thanks for that share, Frank. And see you tomorrow then. You have a great rest of the day.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right. I want to pick up slightly from where um, Frank would have left off. I do believe that from experience, what I've seen, many young persons struggle with this whole concept of self. And if you're struggling with self, um, it's hardly likely that you're going to get to that point of self mastery very soon. The struggle becomes evident when they're placed in certain situations. Like, for example, we have done research and we've interfaced with many companies and we have looked at their sales department. And what we have seen is that the department has high turnover, high turnover. Why? Because the heartbeat of any organization is sales. But then we're seeing that the sales representative, they are displaying a high level of, how should I put this? They're not fully self aware. They are not fully developing self confidence. They're not fully developing self application. So it affects the organization. All right. It affects the department of sales and marketing that wants to attain the sales objective. And again, this is one of the reasons why we have coined these programs, is because we understand that if your sales team is not strong with self-aware, self-confidence, and has the ability now to apply themselves, it's going to undermine the department success when it comes to sale. So this is one clear way in which I'm seeing self-mastery can have that positive impact on the sales department. And I believe that this is relevant to this. We consider this is relevant to all other area of the organization. I do believe that perhaps it's a good talking point for us to start to look at how can these type of conversation and these type of teaching becomes more commonplace, and also enable young people to get access to these type of conversation and also the tools that can help them to reach a state of self-mastery much earlier in their lives. What are your thoughts on this particular area, Shivani?
Definitely. If you can see these things from a younger age, right, and you develop these types of skills and understand it's about self, the amount that you would achieve would be tremendous, and you will become less stressed out. Because stress management is a very important aspect of self mastery and self practice and understanding self. So when we develop these concepts, it's part of us. It comes like, you're eating whatever you're consuming. If you don't, if you are trained from a young child not to eat unhealthy foods, right? It's all part of you now, and it's so easy to do because it's not a pivot or it's not something that you have to change. What's the saying? You can't teach but somebody knew old what? Some saying
You
it was
can't teach old folks new tricks.
new
I
tricks.
know.
I don't agree either, right? I put that out, so I don't agree because I can't say that, but it's
I think the saying is it's harder to bend an old tree. You could bend the tree when it is younger as it gets
when
when
it's
it is
younger,
older.
yeah. So
Mm.
like I was taught I couldn't swim, right? And swimming was, well, I had a fear of swimming. I probably still have it. So I learned to do it really at a older, just about 5 years ago. I learned to do it at age 40, right? So I tell you my age one time.
Congratulations.
So I did it at age 40. And I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh, but you have to learn how to teach somebody that. That's what I'm saying, right? But that's a whole different conversation. So many different conversations that we have in here. But becoming self-aware at a younger age, it's really good too. But even if you don't do it or you have not achieved it, is it okay? And I will say yes, because I look at life as in things every 10 years or every decade, you want to learn something else. So even if I didn't learn it from before, I know I could learn it now because I look at life like that. Every 10 years, what do I want to do again? Peter will say your 3-year plan or your 5-year plan or your 10-year plan.
All right. Thanks for that, Shivani. And that's definitely a great point. Peter, go ahead before I continue.
Yeah, it's something that Shivan said that I've been thinking about. You said it in your first introduction of her topic, and it's I love the word practice. Practice from the concept of finding something that you do or you do self. How do we do self? And I think you said it or earlier that sometimes we use certain concepts and we tend to throw them around without the understanding
Yeah,
exactly we are coming.
it become lost in translation. The
Yeah,
thing about it is that you may understand what you're saying, but the average person listening to you,
right.
they don't understand it. And I find very often, like for example, leadership is very broad.
Right.
There are so many different shapes of leadership. Success is very abstract, and so when you use these terms, they're very broad terminology. And I find that sometimes my role as I teach is to really put faces to these words to really help the audience to get a better understanding of what you're saying. Because, of course, you're communicating because you want people to understand.
Right.
And sometimes because people communicate and they think that they're communicating, but they're really just expressing their thoughts.
Right.
Communication lies in the ability of the person across the table understanding what you're saying, and they're given a fair chance to respond to what you're saying. So go
The
on,
same.
Peter. Just want to share that.
Yeah, and that's very important because the understanding of self is so complex. You know, it's not easy for us. And as I'm listening to even Frank as he was speaking, and he was mentioning certain term, and each term of when we speak about when you mention even the cognitive the aspect of an individual, and when we use these terms, and each term, is so large that it itself, just to deal with that concept alone, is a whole enterprise all over. So so in our field, in our world, when we talk about the self, we try to get individuals to understand, okay, let's simplify the self first. So when I'm looking at the you, and when that we're communicating, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, what's that? Who is that? It's not just definition of words, but it is an application of a persona. And the persona that we're dealing with has three compartments. So I'm looking at your body, but inside of that body is a soul or a consciousness. And beyond that consciousness is the human spirit. Now, even just the soul alone is from the word psyche, Greek word psyche, which they get psychology. But then when we look at what psychology and what the mind, which is the study of the mind, what it is, then what's inside of the mind is not just a box by itself, but it is compartmentalized into 6 components. The last time I tried to check, when I say me, who am I talking about? When I say you, who are you talking about? And where the soul is concerned, it's your memory, it is your thoughts, it is your intellect, it is your emotion, it is your will, it is your imagination. And each of these concepts are huge. Just to pull out one by itself, it's huge. And so the whole concept of managing all of these, or as Chivane said, it's the practice. And which of them are we using at any given time? So it is to understand these collectives and how we interchange between them, and how we use each compartment and each of these ideologies, so that we can achieve a objective or an end. And then it now boils down to just what is purpose now. Purpose, because if we're navigating and we do not understand that, within the space or the realm of time in which we are operating, what is our purpose? Because at the end of the day, we may achieve all of those things, as Stephen Covey said, we achieve to get at the top of the ladder, to discover that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall, concept of such. So, being able to manage all of these fragments of self that we are, and to manage that and this is why I love the mastery of self, because now you have to know how each piece falls into place with each other.
All right. Thanks for that share, Peter. I want to follow up on where the last point I was making. I want to make 2 points here. I do believe that as we look at self-mastery, I do believe it's important to recognize that self-mastery also lies in your responsibility in ensuring that as you communicate information, that you're exercising the degree of mastery to ensure that the person next door understand what you're saying. I want to amplify that because from my experience, a lot of what is being said can get lost in translation.
Mm-hmm.
And let me give an example of the responsibility that we take. And a project man, this comes back to project management too. If I'm doing a project, I can set start date, end date, completion criteria, budget for that project. And once I get the project execution manager to sign off on that, if that project goes over cost, goes over budget, goes over time, and all of that kind of stuff, the project manager can be held responsible. All right. Those are, you know, parameters. I do believe with self mastery. Perhaps I'm pushing the seal here a little bit. As a teacher, as a lecturer, you have a responsibility to ensure that you are able to communicate information very clearly, because the student's ability to learn is not only dependent on where they're at, is dependent also on where you're at and the tools in which you're using to be able to effectively communicate that information. A graphic example of this, I can recall many years ago, my daughter was pretty young, I think 4, 5, 6, around that age. She was struggling with centimeter and liter. And at her school, the teacher called me and said she's having this challenge with centimeter and liter. And I said, really? I know she's a visual learner. So what I did, I brought her home, I get a board, and I draw a bottle, and I fill it up with something that I know that she likes. And I said, this is liter. And I said, let's go for a sprint. And I said, this is centimeter. Guess what? That graphical image, that visual image of what liter and centimeter is, from that particular point, she was a top flyer in the classroom. So I say this to say that sometimes, you know, we get so caught up in what we're saying and forgetting that part of self-mastery is holding ourselves accountable to ensure that our student body understand what is being said. All right. And I see this happen a whole lot. Like, for example, in the last book that we have written, we talk about the art and science of success. And we begin by looking at what is success, what is the art of success, and what is the science of success. So the art of success goes like this. Art is strategies, tools, processes, and systems that you use to communicate information. But guess what? A whole lot get lost in translation there. We know it because what is tools that are going to lead you to success? What is strategies that is going to lead you to success? What is processes that is going to lead you to success? And what is system that is going to lead you to success? So a whole lot get lost in translation. And because we hold ourselves accountable to ensuring that the student get the information, we dissect all of this and expand it throughout the book. So you can go to that book and you can say, okay, this is what he means when you say strategies. And they give you a blueprint of strategies. And this is tools, and this is processes, and this is system. And what it does, it enhances the understanding. Now, taking away how the students is going to benefit from this, I think you as an individual who is doing this, it is really helping you to master how you communicate information. And that in itself is one aspect of self-mastery. As you would have said, Peter, it has so many shares. I want to bring the last point here. We have observed how persons in marketing, sales communication is struggling with the process. What we have done is diagnose the reasons and some of the reasons why they are struggling. Traditionally, when you take a young person and put them into sale, you're saying, this is my value offer, go sell. And there's what we call the push factors of sale. You think that everybody want to buy a car, everybody want to, buy your products and your services, and the salesperson, you just say, go and sell. And one of the things that we see, that take the sting, the joy, the happiness, the excitement out of sale, because you don't really know who you're selling to. So we have reversed that process. where we now talk about the pull factors of sale. And the pull factors of sale forces the sales team to understand people. All right. Because the more you understand people, first of all, you're not innovating products and services to please you. You're innovating products and services with the ideal client in mind.
Mhm.
So because you understand people who you're selling to, you understand their needs, their wants, their expectations. So when you put that sales proposal, or when they hear that sales proposal, they're more inclined to listen to you. But guess what else? There's much more than that. Because it doesn't matter if you're selling cheese or soap powder. Everyone is not going to buy the same type of cheese, and people have different choices in soap powder that they use. So, in knowing people is also taking the time to understand this about people. All right. And by understanding this about people, you know exactly what soap to put to them because you have data, and you know what cheese to put to them because you know their appetite for certain things. But to do all of this, you need to do some legwork. You need to do research. And what I find, if you run away from the legwork, if you run away from the research, it's going to push you back just to what we call the push factors of sales. And there's where you have the highest degree of staff turnover taking place here. But when you learn how to master the pull factors of sale, you have a different equation. Several things happen here. Your sales team are more excited about learning what this process is because it's not just about selling, but it's selling based on people's pain point. It's selling based on people's needs and wants and expectation. And you know those needs, you know who those people are, and you know exactly where to find them. All right. So with this, it significantly complements the salesperson to want to be loyal, to stay, to learn, to grow, and to help you attain the sales objective. There's so much more into this, but I just want to share this little bit as we go into self-mastery. It's not just about you mastering yourself, but I do believe that when you master who you are, you come to that point where you recognize that you also have a responsibility
Mhm.
to ensure that that mastery impacts people in a particular way.
Mhm.
Shivani?
Very true in terms of understanding the needs of people. Sometimes we communicate something and it makes no sense to the individual that we are communicating something to, but it makes all the sense to us. So, very important will be self mastery in this process, as you said, because a part of self mastery involves emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
understand, when you really understand yourself. Now, I come out of meetings sometimes and the kind of colorful language that I want to use, right? But I have to, I'm the supervisor of
Self-control.
have to be smiling and or try to listen to what you're telling me. And I can't give, I mean, my facial reactions give away everything that I'm trying. Now you all know that, right? What I'm trying to say, just look at my face and it will give it away. So my verbal and non-verbal needs to be better in control. Verbal
Needs
and
to
non-verbal.
master.
Sorry.
Needs to be mastered.
Yes, and I need to do that, right? So for me, it is one of the most important aspects when you alone feel you're hearing yourself and you don't listen to everybody else. um, I mean, I have that as a challenge because I believe my point is right, but I have to learn that it's all about improvement too. But I tell people it's okay, you have a point and your point may be correct, but it doesn't mean to say the other person may be wrong. Take the 2 points, you are correct, I'm correct, and then we form a new point, right? We form a new point. So we had a good chuckle coming out of a meeting like that. But it's very, very important for self mastery to remember emotional intelligence and ensuring that we listen attentively to the other person. And it's all, remember, it's all different levels of people that we are interacting with. We
Yeah.
will not be interacting with the same level, and I don't want to interact with the same level. But something that I found that has grown me is the interaction not only with people at higher levels than me, right? Because I mean, yes, we'll have it at peer to peer, not only at higher levels, but the lower levels have really grown me. When I'm able to see their point of view, because their point is so different to what I'm thinking. But you realize when you both talk, we talk in the same language. Everybody talking the same thing. So it's really interconnected leadership. It comes back to that word for me. So
Yeah.
self mastery. If you really get this concept down pack, as I love to say, there will be so many great things that happen in organizations and business with people and everything. We need to teach this more in the classroom environment. We need to teach this skill more in the classroom environment. So, come and do the course with us, right? On self mastery and look at it from project management point and look at it from also as what Peter is preaching, which is your master plan for life. You don't have one. We just be talking in circles. We just be talking
Yeah.
in circles.
Yeah. And I love what you said, Shivani, and I love the call to action. And come with us and let us empower you. And there's so much of value to that call to action, Shivani. And just let me say why. And we are not blowing our own trumpet here. We know what we're talking about. Shivani is right. The average person may develop their master plan. All right. And Peter is going to help you to do that. But once you develop that master plan, what comes next? You have to implement that master plan. And you need to understand the right tools, the right processes, and the right systems to implement. All right. Peter may not be the one telling you about the tools, the processes, and the system. Shivani, because of her background in project management, she's going to take your concepts, your master plan, and she's going to say to you, these are the things that you need to do. This is your WBS work breakdown structure. We're going to start here, then we're going to move here, and then we're going to move here. All right. But Peter, as you develop your master plan, he's going to be certain that your master plan is stress tests. Because one of the things that we talk about in business, but businesses also, before you start a business, you want to stress test it. It's like, for example, myself and my son, we were talking about stress testing a new project that we are dealing with. We are looking at greetings cards. And if you go to the website, thebestsellerportal.org, you're going to see those greetings cards. But I said, before we do this, all right, he called my attention to the fact that we need to go to the stress test. So I said, okay, research how many birthdays we have on a daily basis. And what we saw is that we have about 17 million birthdays per day. So you say, okay, this is enough information to start producing, because if you have the global population is about 8 billion today, you have about 17 million birthdays per day. It means that you have the potential to at least sell 500,000 birthday cards a day if you
I love that.
disperse. So with this here now, you are stress testing it and you're seeing the potential of that business to do well. And the point I'm making, you may come to us and we're going to stress test it. We're going to see what makes sense. Then we're going to hand you to Peter. Peter going to do the master plan. Shivani going to now work with you with the master plan. You may need capital. We have our partner, Paul, that is now going to help you access the capital to grow and scale your business. Once you access the capital, you may want to learn also how to mitigate that. You come back to us. So there's a broad ecosystem that we have really set up to really help you to become successful in most area of business and in life. So I'm going to pause here for now, and I'm going to ask my team to give us their wrap-up statement. And today was a pretty good program, and we're gonna build on this for next week.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. Who want to go first, Peter?
Let the lady go first.
Yeah. Oh God, Gary, you get his point by now, and yeah.
I do. I
Yes.
do.
So next time, just say, Shafani, over to you, right? And then Paul will follow.
I have
So,
less competition
Peter,
today.
yeah, exactly.
No, uh,
Now,
Peter has, a joy to just listen to how you articulate yourself.
that is what I was going to say. That is what I
I'm
was
here.
going to say.
I'm here.
That
I'm
is what I
here.
was going to say.
I'm here, and I'm just looking to my right. Just enjoy
Yes.
looking to my right.
That is exactly what I was going to say. But Kari, what you were saying about what the business cards, the cards, the greeting cards, it's a simple point, but a very powerful point. How your son did that, because I'm quite impressed. You're looking at a stress test. I like the word stress test. Many people, you want to go into business, and you're not understanding that these are things that you should do. And what you love to say is data, right? Collection of data. And what you did was you looked at it not in a very minute way to sell cards, but in a very broad perspective. You look at it in a global way, because there are people all over the world. So it's a global mindset that that you need to create. And self-mastery helps us to do that. That is what I was thinking. Self-mastery helps us to do something like that, because you are not seeing to move the cup from here to there. You're seeing to move the cup from where I am to where Paul is, right? And
Yeah.
Peter. So, you don't think in very small spaces. And self-mastery. And I, I want everybody in the world to become like that. Because when you become like that now, you are able to, you not only, it's a big pond. It's a big pond, the world. It's a global citizen that we like to see.
Yeah.
You're not only focusing on the area that you see. And I had that conversation on my team in facilities management a couple of days ago. And I'm saying, we need to all understand that this is just one element of what we do, right? And let's come out of it. Let's come out of it. But that's a whole conversation again that we will evolve. So
Yeah.
my closing remarks really, self-mastery, you get this down pack, everything will work out.
Right.
Project management could help you. And I'm here to help you with the project management aspect all the way.
Definitely. Peter?
Yeah. And I like what Shevin is communicating about, having that global kind of view, because in our world, in our world where we help people to understand self mastery, having a master plan, the key thing that we realize is that, and I can say it simply from a song from the 70s, Lou Rawls, what's the matter with the world? Has the world gone mad? And then he came to the conclusion that there's nothing wrong with the world. It's just the people that is in it. And I believe that the world can change overnight when individuals realize that, it's me, I'm the problem. And if I fix me, and how do I fix me? If I break down me to very simple concepts, so I can master those simple concepts. And I can understand that for me to really survive, I can't survive by just taking care of me. I have to survive by taking care of the next person who is out there. And when we begin to do that, then we realize that life becomes simplified, and we can all coexist when we understand that I have nowhere to go if I have nobody to serve, where life is concerned overall.
Great share, Peter. And I want to thank you, Peter Shavani. I want to thank the audience for taking the time out to be with us today. I also see we have a few folks that is commenting in the chat. We heard from one person is saying, a teacher does not teach, until the pupil learns. And I think that is so important, and they're enjoying it. So I want to thank our viewers from across the world who are looking at this program. We are broadcasting across multiple social media platforms. I do want to thank you for taking the time for being with us today. I also want to thank Shivani and Peter for being with us today to share on the concept of self-mastery. Um, Self-mastery is about you, and you owe it to yourself to pause and ask yourself, am I living in my essence? Am I committing enough time to learn who I am and to master who I am so I can become a greater asset to myself, to my family, to my community, to my organization, and to my world? So those are just some thoughts I want to leave with you today. And I want to thank you for being here today. This program came to you with a kind compliment of the Bestseller Portal. And I do encourage you to go to the bestsellerportal.org to learn more about what we are doing. Be blessed and see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST.